name is Dante, and today I will be talking about the top 10 best hate bears because I couldn't find any other 10 hate bears, but yeah, just rated the 10 hate bears I found. Some might not be hate bears, but I think they are hate bears, all of them. But I want to show you. Hate bear is not a card, it is simply a term, which means any 2-mana 2/2 creature that does an effect to hate your opponent. But a 2-mana 2/2 creature with flying that hates your opponent is called a hate bird. Yeah, that comes from the term hate bear, is hate bird, but this is hate bears, and werebear is not a hate bear. Although it might look like one, it's not, because it doesn't meet the conditions to be a hate bear. First of all, it doesn't hate. Second of all, it will never be a 2/2. But it's a 2-mana and a bear, but it's not hate bear. Hate bears don't necessarily have to be a bear itself. Hate bears can be anything. Like, we'll be going up to number 10, which still not sure if that's a hate bear or not. Eladamri? Lord of Leaves. No. Yeah, it kind of looks like kind of a hate bear, but don't know exactly. It's a 2-mana 2/2 legend with all elves have forest walks and all elves have shroud. So that looks like a hate effect, but it might not be a hate effect. What do you think? Like, is that a hate bear or not? But I think that's a hate bear. This is number 10 in the list. Yeah. But, And also, number 9! Scavenging Ooze, also known as Scoos as well. Or Graveyard Eater. Because the reason why it's a hate bear, because it hates graveyard recursion decks. So it's a 1 on the green, 2/2 ooze with 1 green. Exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on Scavenging Ooze and you gain a life. So first of all, it stops any graveyard recursion effects or like Marin or stuff like that. Well, it's mostly played in Modern, but some people play in Commander, Scavenging Ooze. Yeah, mostly hate bears are like Commander or Modern, like as a term. Like, you won't encounter standard hate bears or legacy or vintage hate bears. There's usually Modern or Commander, not even Tiny Leaders, which Tiny Leaders is just small creatures or small cards in general. But yeah, Scavenging Ooze meets the conditions to be a hate bear. 2-mana, yep. 2/2. Yes. Hate effect? Yeah, I think, yeah. So it might meet the conditions to be a hate bear. But it is actually good. It reaches number 9 in the list. Number 8, Harsh Mentor. Yes, this is a hate bear. So it does meet the conditions, of course. So it's so it's 2-mana. Yes, 2/2. Perfect. Hate effect? Yeah. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land on the battlefield, if it isn't a mana ability, does 2 damage to that player. Fight through it. Yep, that's right. So That stops infinite turns combo. That stops Deadeye Navigator. That stops Deadeye Navigator combos. That basically stops infinite combos because they will have to kill themselves in the process. Okay. That does not stop the Sahili combo, but it does stop many. It does stop many combos, but yeah, it does stop the power artifact infinite colorless mana combo. Yeah, it does stop that, but it does. There are a few combos it can't stop, but it stops the majority of them. Harsh Mentor, because if they do infinite combos when you have Harsh Mentor in play, they'll kill themselves in the process. So yeah, that's number 8 in the list, because next ones are actually kind of better. Number 7, Eversworn Canalist. Yes, that's true. It does meet the conditions at least. Yeah, 2 mana. Yes, 2/2. Yes, artifact bonus. Yes, yes. Hate effect. Yes, unless if they're playing affinity. So 90% yes. Am I right? Do 10% of the players play affinity? What's the percentage of players playing affinity in modern? Or in general? 5%, okay. 95% yes. 5% no. So it does meet the conditions to be a hate bear. Because each player who casts a non-artifact spell this turn can't cast additional non-artifact spells this turn. Yeah, that's right. And so the majority of the hate bears are like green or white. A few were like blue or black. Like one was red. Like the Harsh Mentor was a red hate bear. But well, yeah, it's white mana cost, but it's colorless hate bear. Theoretically. Number 7. The Fetch Locker Leonin Arbiter. Yes, it's a cat that locks fetch lands. Yes, that's right. You're hearing it right. It's a cat that stops fetch lands and tutors. So it does actually meet the conditions to be a hate bear, Leonin Arbiter. 2 mana. Yep. 2/2. Yep. Hate effect? In modern, 99% yes. But in general, yeah, 95% yes. Because some players might play without searching. And Leonin Arbiter does good with Aven Mind Sensor. So, because if an opponent would search, it instead pays 2 mana and searches the top 4 cards. Why? Yeah, why did they create both cards? Like Leonin Arbiter and Aven Mind Sensor? And they even reprinted Aven Mind Sensor! Well, it's gonna rotate out this year, unfortunately. But because its players can't search libraries, any player may pay 2 mana for that player to ignore this effect until end of turn. Yep. That's true. Number 6. Grand Abolisher. Yes. Stops counterspells. Nearly, yeah. nearly stops counter spells. It's 2 mana, 2/2 creature, human cleric. If during your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. I don't think there are any counterspell lands. Like lands that counter spells. So yeah, it stops counter spells in your turn. So yeah, even stops Kozilek's counter spell effect. Like Dromoka, just Dragon Lord Dromoka just stops spells in the turn, so it doesn't stop activated abilities. So that's why it's possible to counter a spell during an opponent's turn if that player has Dragon Lord Dromoka, because it's not a spell, it's an activated ability. Number 5 is another red hate bear, Eidolon of the Great Revolt. It's played in burn. Yeah, it's very good, actually. Especially in modern. It hits every single card in Tiny Leaders. In Commander, useless. Modern, good. Tiny Leaders, better. Vintage or Legacy, too late. Hello, Augustine Craft Gorner. How are you? Remember to subscribe, like, and share with your friends if you haven't already. So yeah, Eidolon of the Great Revel meets the conditions. Okay, wait. Yeah, Grand Abolisher meets the conditions. Yeah, 2 mana, perfect. 2/2, yes. Hate effect, most probably. So that's most probably classed as a hate bear, Grand Abolisher. But Eidolon of the Great Revel. Wait, what? So yeah, Eidolon of the Great Revel, 2 mana per good. 2/2, good. Bonus enchantment, hate effect. The majority of the times, yes. Because whenever a player casts a spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, it does 2 damage to that player. Yeah, it penetrates Hexproof and Shroud. Eidolon of the Great Revel. It's actually good, even in Burn. I used to think it was bad in Burn because like Burn is like 3 or less mana cost. Like, well, usually 2 or less, because the 3 mana spell is usually a Rift Bolt, which you can suspend. But usually, actually in red, you don't really care about your own life total. You only care about how many creatures your opponent has. Because if you actually have your spell growing creatures, yes, as in Kilnfend or Monastery Swiftspear, you can actually bolt your opponent's creatures to penetrate the opponent with these creatures, so you attack and they can't block, because oh yeah, you just destroyed their creatures. And or like Boros Charm, so like you can surprise your opponent and result that you will be killing the opponent's creatures and yours won't die, or might die anyway. Well, if you cast Boros Charm, instead of choosing the mode of of dealing 4 damage to your opponent, you can choose the mode of giving your permanents indestructible, but Eidolon of the Great Revel, that's good. And the thing is that even if they deflecting palm an Eidolon of the Great Revel effect, they will still take 2 damage, but deal 2 damage to the controller of Eidolon of the Great Revel. So, yeah, it's not worth deflecting palming an Eidolon of the Great Revel. But number 4 is very played in Commander and Legacy and Vintage. Containment Priest! 1 in a white. Okay, yeah. 2 mana. Good. 2/2. Good. Hate effect? Most likely. It's most likely a hate effect in Legacy and Commander. Vintage, I think as well, but Modern, not legal. I think it's not Modern legal. Or is it Modern legal? Containment Priest. But it does actually have a hate effect, I think. It stops Dredgy, stops Graveyard Recursion, and doesn't stop Storm. And it does stop Show and Tell. So, yeah, and Hypergenesis. Because, like, Show and Tell and Hypergenesis, it Containment Priest completely stops them. No. It stops the creatures. But usually, Show and Tell and Hypergenesis decks usually use only creatures, but they might occasionally drop artifacts and enchantments. Yeah, you can drop lands, of course, but well, Hypergenesis is actually kind of late, but still good. Show and Tell, it can get early into play, into cast. So yeah, they are good, and you know, it also has flash, so it's a surprise effect. It's like, okay, so like, your turn 1. If you start, you're lucky to be facing against a Graveyard Recursion deck. Play land, play Lotus Petal, pass. Now opponent draws, plays land, plays Dark Ritual, then does Entomb or Buried Alive, or like maybe 1 Dark Ritual only. Entomb, puts Griselbrand in the graveyard, Reanimate Dead or Animate Dead, Griselbrand, or Exhume. Nope. Containment Priest. And if you're lucky, your opponent might use a Reanimate Dead, so they're taking 8 damage. Yep. That's good. Containment Priest. Now, facing Manaless Dredgy. Or Landless Dredgy. Okay. So, you go second, yeah. Opponent passes. Draw. Play land. Play Lotus Petal. Pass. Opponent draws. discards a card, passes. You draw, play a land, and play Soul Warden, for example, or yeah. Then your opponent draws, no, dredges. It does dredgy, yeah, dredgy. For example, Stinkweed Imp, dredgy 5. Dredgy 5 takes Stinkweed into hand. Now, yeah, and occasionally, your opponent mills Necromoeba. Nope, Containment Priest. That is our Necromoeba. That even stops further Necromoebas. Oh yeah, Mistcaller does a similar effect, but it's but Containment Priest is a great hate bear. Yeah. And now facing against show and tell decks. Okay, you play. So you start. Land. Lotus Petal, pass. Your opponent draws. Plays Island. Plays Mana Crypt. Taps. Plays the show and tell. Respond. Containment Priest. You exile. You play a land. And your opponent play, or like you play like the biggest artifact or enchantment you have in your hand, or maybe a land. Your opponent will also play, or maybe, and your opponent will also play something like that. So no big creature enters. Similar effect to Hypergenesis, but not turn 1. That's turn 6. Turn 6 is too late in Legacy, as you might have realized, because usually decks win in turn 1 or 2. Maybe sometimes turn 2 is late, apparently. Yeah, but if you manage in Legacy to play turn 1 Eidolon of the Great Revolt, which was behind Containment Priest, it shuts down Storm. But we got 2 more to go, because that was just number 3. Number 2, Voice of Resurgence. Yes, that's right. It's 2 mana. Good. 2/2. Good. Hate effect? We don't. I think it does have a hate effect. It has a big hate effect if you're playing lots of creatures or stuff like that. But it has a low hate effect if you're not running that much creatures. So its hate range from 20% to 98% hate. That's right, yeah. Because whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, or when it dies, you create an elemental with its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. So yeah, some people might be threatened by a big creature or small creature possibly, or something like that, but others might not. So that's why its hate effect might vary if you have creatures or not. But the thing is that you can actually, if it dies, you get it. But once you play it, your opponent might stop countering your spells with basic counter spells like counterspell, mana drain, negate, mana leak, or Snapcaster Mage, flashbacking cryptic command, and shuffling your value into your library. But it varies, but its hate level can get too high, the Voice of Resurgence, because if your opponent doesn't get threatened by Voice of Resurgence, unless if they have answers, boom, they're down, because 4 elementals plus Voice of Resurgence is equal to a win if they don't have creatures. Actually, you might overkill your opponent with 2 damage, or not even, like, because if your only creatures are 4 elementals and a Voice of Resurgence, it's 22 damage. Yeah, and even if it dies, like, even if they kill it, no matter if it's in your turn or during an opponent's turn, you still get the elemental. Like, if you play Voice of Resurgence and your opponent fatal pushes it in your turn, 2 elementals, good. You play Voice of Resurgence and your opponent Path to Exiles it, 1 elemental. Your opponent plays fatal push on their own turn on a Voice of Resurgence, which is most probably which will slow down the speed of it, and so you created 1 less elemental. You still create an elemental. Path to Exile on their own turn to Voice of Resurgence. You're out of luck. No elementals. No elementals, because it creates when it dies or when an opponent casts a spell on your turn, not when it leaves the battlefield. So you can't, like, call to heal your Voice of Resurgence to draw a card and get an elemental. Doesn't work like that. Your opponent can't just, like, Path to Exile your Voice of Resurgence, get an elemental, and then riff sweeper it. But it still is very great. Number 1, the master of the hate bears, Gadok Teague. Yes, that's right. Gadok Teague. It meets its conditions. 2 mana, yes. 2/2, yes. Hate level, commander, 225%. Modern, 22%. Legacy, 0%. Vintage? I don't know. Tiny leaders? Useless. It might be useful in tiny leaders. It stops Et spells, but yeah, most Et spells are actually creatures, but some Et spells are like instant or sorceries. But it stops the Sun Zenith, like, stops Green Sun Zenith, banned. Stops Red Sun Zenith, not as good. Stops Blue Sun Zenith, awesome. Stops White Sun Zenith, great. Stops Black Sun Zenith, keeps that Gadok Teague alive. But the thing is that it stops only non-creature spells, but it is great in Commander. Like big spells modes. Like it stops Ingaruk's Wake and Plague Wind. Yeah, that is right. It's a great card. That's why it's the best hate bear. Yeah. So it's a Kifkin Advisor, legendary creature. So some people actually have Gadok T as their commander. So they have a white and green hate bear deck. But yeah, the majority of the hate bears are white or green. But there were actually 2 red hate bears which were very great. Harsh Mentor and Eidolon of the Great Revel. But now I gotta tell you this before you leave this. Okay, before the end of the video, I'll tell you how does a hate bear origin from. Hate bear origins from the card Grizzly Bears or Grizzly Bears. It's basically a 2-mana 2/2 bear. Yep. So people started calling 2-mana 2/2 creatures that had annoying effects in their TED spots hate bears. Doesn't mean they are bears or anything. They're just called hate bears. Yeah, well, actually there are multiple 2-mana 2/2 vanilla bears, but many people actually reason it to grizzly bears. And also there was another term that was called hate bird, which was a variation of hate bear, which was also 2-mana 2/2 bear. No, not bear, creature with flying and a hate effect. Well, even Mind Sensor is not a hate bear, but it's the closest to hate bear. 3-mana 2 hate bird. It's not a hate bird, but it's the closest to a hate bird. So yeah, because even Mind Sensor is 3-mana. No. 2/1. No. Bird. Yeah. Bonus, it's a bird. It has flying. And it does have a hate effect. It's if an opponent will search their library, instead searches the top 4 cards of their library instead, most probably stops fetches. It is an even Mind Sensor is very similar to number 5 in the list. No, not Grant. No, number 6 in the list. Learning Arbiter. Yeah. So yeah, and also it is. And remember, everyone, stop calling werebear a hate bear, because it has nothing to do with hate bears or anything like that. Well, it is a bear, but doesn't hate, and it doesn't meet its condition. It isn't a 2/2, doesn't hate, but it is a bear and it's 2-mana, but still, it's not a hate bear. Werebear is not a hate bear. Although it's a bear and it's 2-mana, it's not a hate bear. Doesn't hate, not a 2/2, but you just gotta realize that. Now, also, comment down type in the stream chat, top chat, or in the comments which one of these cards did you like the most, and if Hate Bears is a good strategy or not in Modern or Commander, or what other Hate Bears are there, or where would you order these cards, and if any of these cards are, and which cards are Hate Bears, because I think they are all Hate Bears, but some might not be Hate Bears. But also type that down. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video stream yet podcast, because it was podcast Tuesday. Yeah, it's subscribe now. Bye, and don't forget to watch my other videos too. Please like, share with your friends, and stay tuned to my next videos, podcasts, and streams I'm going to do in my channel. And remember, stay tuned to every podcast, which is every Tuesday at night, or maybe day in your location, but yeah, that's right. Bye.